Hi, my name is Alyssa.
And I'm Tony.
And we are the Soultry Sisters. We're a community-based organization that empowers women to live healthy and creative lives in North County, San Diego, and recently DC.
We curate events, workshops, mixers, and meetups centered around women's arts, wellness, and sisterhood.
Our mission is to empower women to live vibrant and shine bright through creative expression and conscious holistic living.
Our vision is to create a safe space that provides women the arts and wellness resources that are affordable and accessible.
So far, we've partnered with Dancing Soul Boutique, Village Rock Shop, Carlsbad Village Yoga Co-op, and nonprofit organization Leap to Success. To find out more information about us and to sign up for our future events, visit SoultrySisters.com.
You can also find us on social media on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube at Soultry Sisters.
We hope to see you soon.
Hey.
Hello. Happy New Year, fam.
Yes, Happy New Year, everyone. We're in 2024 now. Wow, here we are. And we are still celebrating in the Soultry community. So January 6th, we had our early Soultry 5th year anniversary celebration. So that was really exciting. But our actual anniversary is not until January 20th. So you have 10 days to celebrate with us. So go ahead, like, subscribe, go to the link in our bio or our website and donate. Okay. What says blessings and happy celebration? Send some cash money moolah. Okay. I'm just saying, I'm just putting it out there. I'm wearing green for abundance. And I'm also
all the colors.
wearing my green scarf kufia from Pali Roots. And then Xenia, one of our first partners for Soultry, she gifted us these handmade chakra earrings for our anniversary. So it's really sweet of her. So I'm all decked out in green, abundance, chakra, wellness. Yes.
We love it. We love it. If you're new here, this is our Soultry Hangout. For the next 12 weeks, we will be featuring our book club, The Artist's Way. But for all of our Soultry Hangouts, all of our community discussions, we love to start with welcoming you all and asking you to let us know your name and where you are tuning in from and what you are sipping on. So I'll start. My name is AJ. I'm tuning in from San Diego, and I'm sipping on some lemon green tea.
Nice. So I'm Tony, y'all. I'm now tuning in from DC. I'm warm and cozy in my apartment here because it is cold on the East Coast. I was in California and San Diego with my family for the holidays, and I am sipping on Tulsi and peppermint tea. I had to have something warm because I was cold.
Love it. Hi, Jasmine. Jasmine is sipping on some agua with lemon. Lydia is in the house. Happy anniversary. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then Morgan saying Happy New Year. Happy New Year.
Oh, yay. So Lydia, okay. I'll do Lydia's first. So Lydia is tuning in from Baltimore. Yes. Oh, thank you, Lydia. We're doing well. And so Lydia is one of the doula trainers that I work with in my work. So glad you got to join, Lydia.
And then we have Morgan tuning in from Santa Ana, California. Yes, I know Morgan from taking dance classes with me in my other work life. Speaking of other work lives. And fun fact, I went to teach an audition as a teaching artist in Escondido, San Diego, and someone recognized me as one of the Soultry Sisters.
Oh, yay!
They had come to the festival. So I thought that was really cool. Like to be in my other job, my other mind space, and someone's like, wait, are you one of the Soultry Sisters? So y'all, we going on the map here in San Diego.
We growing, y'all.
And we have Brooke. Hello. Hey, Happy New Year, fam. I'm Brooke from Oceanside, drinking some lavender chamomile tea.
Ooh, that sounds lovely. Awesome. Thank you all. Oh, we have more people tuning in. We got Ashley tuning in from DC and drinking coffee, of course. Thank you. Thank you for joining. So yeah, this is our first book club of 2024. And so we're excited. Okay. We are wanting to start the new year and y'all are excited too, which is awesome.
Yes, we got Marlene tuning in from Boston, drinking some hot cocoa. Now, y'all, Tony knows how to
Ooh,
make an Earl Grey hot cocoa. If you need that recipe, hit her up. But
yes.
we're assuming that most of you are here for the Artist's Way. This is our book club. It's our first book club of the year. If you're new here and you're like, what's going on? We are featuring our book club. You can go to soultrysisters.com/book club to learn more. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube so that you get the replays and you get alerted. And we're just really excited to kind of start the new year talking about creative care.
Yes, so 2024, right? It's a new year. If you're into numerology, it's an 8 year. So, an 8 year is really good for action, for abundance, especially like financial abundance, wealth, all of those things. So that's the intention we're kind of bringing forward. And we thought, what more to tap into abundance than to focus on creative care, right? Like, how are we pouring into ourselves, taking care of ourselves, so then we can receive that abundance.
Oh, I love it. I mean, and this is the part of the year too that it's not the new astrological year. That's, more towards March. So this is a
Mhm.
perfect time for reflection. This is the perfect time for letting go. And honestly, this is the perfect time for the artist way with the We'll talk a little bit later about some of the basic tools that we'll be exploring through this book. But for us, we really wanted to spend some time tapping into creativity and sitting down with y'all before our Arts and Wellness Festival, because that's the summer solstice where we talk about being out, doing more creative things, tapping into our sacral energy. And so we thought, what a great primer than to dive into the artist's way at the beginning of this new year.
Yes, and before we start, some reminders and announcements. So I just put in the chat, but if you haven't already, you can join our book club app. So it's on book clubs. There's also like a website version, but if you join, it's free 99 and you'll get reminders, you'll get alerts, you'll get updates on everything with the book club, especially something like this that's 12 weeks long, y'all. So it's a quarter long. We're going to be journeying together as a community, and we don't want y'all to forget, we don't want y'all to miss out. So definitely join. Also, like and subscribe our YouTube channel. We're trying to grow. And I'll put that banner up right here. So at Soultry Sisters on all platforms. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook. We have our website, soultrysisters.com. And so you can find all the information about our book club on our website as well. So if you go to soultrysisters.com/book club, that has all the information. And we usually put a preview of what our next book is going to be. But since this is a 12-week long journey, we'll probably save that for later. But
Mm-hmm.
we're always open to book recommendations. So definitely either DM us on Instagram, comment them here below, or just reach out to us any way that you would like.
We got Kyle tuning in from Wheaton with some sweet tea. Yes, that's something that we welcome back. And some of us, still sipping on tea. I'm sipping on something warm. So thank you for joining us.
Now we got our Balance Brothers in the house. We got
Yeah, we
all
got
types of
Balance
people.
Brothers,
We
Soultry
got our
Fam.
we got our every month book clubbers. We got our new timers. So the first timers. So we are excited to start the year with you all. So we did want to start off with asking you all, how did you learn about the book, The Artist's Way?
So for me, I learned about the Artist's Way probably around 2019, 2009, yeah, 2019. I had a friend that told me about this book, and I've had this book, y'all, since 2019, have not opened it. I don't know if y'all are like this, but do you have books on your bookshelf that are yet to be read. So to be honest, I bought this book when a friend recommended it, but I just never got to it. And then it wasn't until um, my sister and I bought it for her for a gift one birthday. Got lost in the mail because I was
It
like,
got
I
lost
need
in the
it
sauce. It
got
got
lost in
lost in the
the
sauce. We
I
never
said
seen
I
it.
so I said
U.S.
I
Postal
can't
Service was like, we don't know the box you're talking about.
I think someone saw it and was like, ooh, this is for me. Anyways, the whole point is I then wanted to do it with my sister. So I bought her a book. She didn't get it. So that postponed that iteration. And so that lands us here. We're like, you know what? She got the book now. I think you found it used.
No, this one I got from my local Black and Asian queer bookshop, Loyalty
Okay.
Books, here in Silver Spring.
So she got that from Loyalty Books. And this is why this is happening. We both have the book. And then we're thinking, just like we do with most of the programs we do, why just keep it with us when we can share it with y'all? So that is why we are here doing this book club 2024, 5 years later.
Yeah, but the timing, right? It's whenever the universe, brings it back to us. I see Lydia learn about the book a couple years ago on TikTok when it went viral. Okay, I'm still not on TikTok, so I only get those things if people send it to me. But that's cool that it got more popular through TikTok.
Mhm.
Um, for me, yeah, I've been aware of the book since probably around the same time Alyssa had got the book because different like YouTube bloggers and stuff would talk about morning pages. And so I've had a journaling practice for around that much time. I just don't call it morning pages and I'm not committed to every day. But when I was rereading the intro this week, I was like, oh, this makes sense because the people, like, I was watching Lavender, if anyone's familiar with that YouTuber. She has like a whole journal and planner line now, but she was really into morning pages. So I've been like in the ether and have heard about the morning pages and artist dates. And I also love taking myself on solo dates. So it's like now to have language for what that is going to be really helpful. Now we have Geneva sharing that I've seen this book all over social media and have always wanted to read it. Yeah, same. So perfect timing, right? We're all here right on time. We have Anna or Anna. I bought the book maybe 10 years ago and have reread it 3 times. I still do morning pages. Okay, okay.
We love
So,
that.
so Anna or Anna, you can be one of our our, mentors and leaders in this space. And like we all are here gonna grow and learn together. Morgan, my spiritual teacher, told me about it. It's one of my favorites. I did it for the first time in 1997 and then in 2019. Okay. So
Mm.
I love the fact that people are revisiting it. So that's lovely as well. Kyle, it appeared in my home one day. Krista, God. Right? Sometimes the books come to you, right? Okay. Sometimes we go to it and sometimes it comes to us. So we love to hear all of this. So y'all can still continue to comment. If this is your first time joining a Soultry Book Club, we're very interactive and we love comments. So definitely, as we keep going, share comments. You can share links to things if that's helpful. You can share quotes. We're very into the discussion.
And then Marlene shares, I've been hearing about it for a while, and my sister gave it to me this past
Oh,
Christmas. Yes, sis
that's so
coming
sweet.
through with the book gift. Love that.
So sweet. So shall we get into it?
Let's get into it, y'all. So, introduction, why we chose the artist way. We kind of touched on it
Mhm.
earlier. We chose the artist way because we want to really, as a community, tap into creativity. We always talk about creative expression here. We talk about soul care practices, ways to connect to our mind, body, spirit, and community. So that's really why we want to do the artist way. It's very aligned, if you're familiar with our community, with the work that we do. And we believe like to be creative, to express yourself, you don't have to be an artist.
Mhm.
But that's we say that from the lens of people think that to be an artist you have to do it in a certain capacity. So in our community we try to unlearn and uncover that inner artist, that shadow artist I think Julia mentions in this book. And so we hope that this book will, just like the other things that we do in our community, will empower all of us to tap into our creative practice, but also maybe unlock a deeper spiritual practice, which is why we call a lot of the things that we do here soul care.
Exactly. And with Soultry as well, like for our book club, we really try to be intentional about what books we choose to read and discuss with our community. And we thought, why not the artist way to start the calendar year, right? We know that energetically the year doesn't start till spring, but right now with like, just new sense of like wanting to tap inward to have a container for that. So we thought our book club could be a way to also hold ourselves accountable since we wanted to read this book for a while now as sisters, and to share it with you all. That's all a part of Soultry's journey too, is to share what we're doing, where we're at in our journey. And this is our first time going through it. So each week we'll be able to share with you all where we're at, what's going on, what's challenging, what
Yes.
just downloads we have. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
excited to be able to share in a community aspect, because I think a lot of times when I do journal or when I do go on my solo dates, it's all, yeah, like by myself and introspective. And that's great. And these practices will be great to do that. But I like that we also have the communal element of coming together every week to discuss, to re encourage ourselves, to inspire one another. So I think it'll be a nice tool for our
Mm-hmm.
community. And also in the winter time, I think sometimes, the seasonal depression can creep in, winter blues, all these different things, winter erasure, right? Different things come up. And so I'm hoping as well that this container can be a space to help inspire all of us that, that magic is within, which we'll start talking about as we
Yeah,
get into the
definitely.
book.
I also want to share that January is usually the time where it can be where people, like Tony was saying that people want to start new things, and there's a lot of narrative about like, you know, um, starting a new goal setting, and we wanted to tap into that energy, but more so of a going inward. Like, yes, there's an
Mhm,
itching for something at this time of the year, but we're also trying to unlearn that tapping of me being like spending money on a new membership,
mhm,
of trying to like improve self from a capitalist lens versus self improvement from a place of self discovery. So
mhm,
this is also a pivotal time for us to help our community shift that mindset. And it kind of goes into Lydia's comment of I'm
mhm,
challenging myself not to buy or to go to any get any new books this year. Only read books that come to me or I already own.
mhm,
Love that. I mean, definitely. I'm for that too.
mhm. Yeah.
Library card, y'all.
Oh, yes. Speaking of the library, my bookmark for the book is from our hometown Oceanside Public Library. Okay, support your local libraries, y'all. So, yeah, you don't have to go and buy the book. You can go to your library, you can get it an ebook. They have an audiobook version too. And if you do have Spotify Premium, so if you're paying for your Spotify account, they have The Artist's Way as an audiobook through premium. So there's a lot of ways that y'all don't have to technically buy the book.
Yes. So we
And
promote that. We promote that if you can get it from your local
yeah.
library, listen to it. If a friend has it, if you don't have it, you can still participate in
Mhm,
our weekly check-in. So that's we're
mhm,
going to talk a little bit about the dynamic of this community discussion, but every week will be a weekly check-in. So if you don't have the book, we won't be necessarily reading the book. We'll be highlighting some quotes today that from the introduction, the spiritual electricity section, and basic tools. But after that, we're mostly going to be checking in with how the exercises went, how the practice went through the week. So it's going to be more of a discussion versus like a review of actually what the author was writing in these chapters, if that makes sense.
mhm. And the last thing I want to share about like why we chose it. If you're new to our community, Soul Tree Sisters is all about empowerment through soul care, and we define soul care as mind, body, soul, which also can be spirit, and community, right? So that's why I think this book is a perfect reflection of how we define soul care, because it's not only that we really promote going inward, right? When we talk about our mind, our bodies, and our souls, but also how do we then connect as community. And that's part of our work and our purpose as Soultry, is to also promote, wellness as liberation, as wellness as collective healing. And so this book is a tool that we'll be using to kind of further the work that we already do in our community.
Yeah, I think that also goes into like how Julia wants or says that we could do this book club as a
Mhm,
community doing these creative clusters, and how in these creative clusters, we're more as believing mirrors, like cheering each other on. So
mhm.
we look forward to having this accountability with y'all for the next 12 weeks.
Yes, so we shall get into it now. Again, we like interaction, so today we'll be pulling some quotes and stuff from the intro to kind of ground us into what Julia's intentions are for the Artist Way. And then towards the end, we'll open it up again. But feel free to start chatting, put your comments in here, questions, things that we might have missed, and then we'll get to it as we go.
Hmm.
But at first, the first quote I want to share is just kind of a general of like, so what is this book? So Julia shares in the intro that this book is for anyone interested in living more creatively through practicing an art. Even more broadly, anyone interested in practicing the art of creative living. And I love that last part so much, of creative living. And that's, again, a lot of what we promote as Sultry Sisters when we use the term creative expression. And our motto is live vibrant and shine bright. And that's essentially what this quote is. Yeah.
And the next quote we want to share um, is, no matter what your age or life path, whether making art is your career or your hobby or your dream, it is not too late or too egotistical or too selfish or too silly to work on your creativity. I'm like, yes, it's never too late. I hear so many people, share like their thoughts of like, oh, I've always wanted to do that. I'm like, then do it. And so I'm looking forward to how this book is going to help us activate and take action.
Yeah, so that's what I appreciate, is like how inclusive the book can be, right? Like even though it is called The Artist Way, it's very expansive in the definitions of artists, right? Like she goes into detail of like listing all types of people that she's worked with, type of artists, people who just wanted to live a more creative life, to be able to be creative with their family. So I appreciate that she explicitly talks about that. And when it comes to creativity, right, I think there's also a lot of misconceptions or stereotypes or stigmas around art and creativity. And so another quote I wanted to share is that creativity is a fact of your spiritual body and nothing that you must invent. Right, so just us being humans and living and existing today, we are creative and we have a creative force within us. And that's what I believe, and so I appreciate that that's the lens that this book is coming from.
Definitely. And then also like the title, The Artist's Way, the subtitle is a spiritual path to higher
Mhm.
creativity, like higher vibrations, higher insight. So it's definitely we do lean on the spiritual side of it. So we're excited to kind of uncover that and be in conversation. She does talk a little bit about in the introduction that like it can mean many things. It's very inclusive, like however you want to come to creativity. But I like the fact that she's also saying like it is within us. So this book is more of like an excavating to the self versus like a reaching. Like I know when we say higher self, it feels like, oh my gosh, I have to go up this ladder. But then there's some parts in these introduction where she mentions excavating. And when we
Mhm.
excavate, it's like digging to something that's already there at our core. So I thank you for sharing that quote, Tony.
Yeah, so just to clear the air in case someone is hasn't read all of the intro. So, yeah, since we're talking about it's a spiritual book and spirituality, and Julia Cameron does explicitly use the terms God and creator. And so I'll just share a quote of like what her intentions are by using that word, and then we can open it up for folks. But
Mhm.
Julia shares, when the word God is used in these pages, you may substitute the thought good, orderly direction or flow. What we are talking about is a creative energy. Right. So she shares, like, if you don't believe in God, like if you're agnostic, atheist, that's fine. You could still go through this book as well and to just honor your own beliefs. Or she said you can insert other words, universe, source, um, whatever it is that feels good for you and, connects to your own practices, then that's fine. So even if her words might not be the same words you use yourself, that there's still freedom throughout this book and throughout this journey.
And then Kara shares the expansiveness of art and creativity is really key here. I think in a lot of ways, the book would be titled The Creator's Way or God's Way.
Mhm.
Hmm. For me, when I address the universe, I say uni. I'll be like, uni, what's going on today? Uni. So I already do that. So for me, I was like, oh, I already have a word. It's uni.
Yeah, I go between like universe, source, God, Mama Nature, Mama Gaia. So those
Hmm.
are kind of words that I tend to use. Yeah.
Hmm.
Or
What?
spirit. Yeah, big
Spirit,
big
yes.
S spirit.
Big
Yeah.
S spirit. So let us know in the comments if you what word, you can even use the word goddess. What word are you ideating to use throughout this book?
And there's no wrong answers. So we're just,
Yeah.
opening up for discussion because she literally brought that up in the book that sometimes that could be something that throws people off, I guess, when you first start reading. Lydia, I'm not gonna lie, I say sis sometimes.
Sis.
I mean, I mean, divine feminine, okay?
Yes, the
I
divine
like that.
feminine. Hmm.
But we can as people continue to comment, we can get into the basic principles since there is a list of them.
There are some
So
there's a list. Let me pull it up. The basic principles, which is very helpful because, like, again, like understanding and rooting down into like why we are, going through this book. Okay, so basic principles. I'll say number one,
page
and then,
three, on
yeah,
page
page
three.
3. And then, so she says in the book, the following spiritual principles are the bedrock on which creative recovery and discovery can be built. Read through them once a day and keep an inner ear cocked for any shifts in attitudes or beliefs. So as I read through these principles, I want y'all to notice like which of these principles pick up for you. One, creativity is the natural order of life. Life is energy, pure creative energy. Two, there is an underlying, indwelling creative force infusing all of life, including ourselves. Three, when we open ourselves to our creativity, we open ourselves to the Creator's creativity within us and our lives. Four, we are ourselves creations. And we in turn are meant to continue creativity by being creative ourselves. 5, creativity is God's gift to us. Using our creativity is our gift back to God or uni. The universe. And 6, the refusal to be creative is self-will and is counter to our true nature. 7, when we open ourselves to exploring our creativity, we open ourselves to God. Good orderly direction. Ooh, I never thought of it like that acronym. Interesting.
Mhm. Right?
8. Yeah, I was like, good orderly direction. Okay. Unifier. 8. Sorry, let me just focus on save the commentary. 8. As we open our creative channel to the creator, many gentle but powerful changes are to be expected. 9, it is safe to open ourselves up to the greater and the greater creativity. 10, our creative dreams and yearnings come from a divine source. As we move toward our dreams, we move toward our divinity.
Yeah, number 10 is what really, like, resonated with me. I was like, "Ooh."
Ashe.
Like, yes,
Yeah. So
okay.
let us know which number kind of got you uh, uh, inspired in this moment or lifted up from the page for you?
Mm-hmm. And then I got some comments here. So we have, oops, Geneva wrote for different words that they use is source, universe, divine, higher power, goddess, light, spirit. Morgan shared, I use many words: creator, spirit, source, God, love, Mama Earth, and more. I love that.
Mm.
And then Jasmine shares, yes to sis. She loves that. Okay. Can add that to the list. And then we have Marlene sharing that 10 really resonates for them. And then Geneva shares that number 1 really resonates.
Mm. Mm-hmm. For me, 8. As we open our creative channel to the creator, many gentle but powerful changes are to be expected. And I think that's why she says read them every day, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because different ones might resonate. We got
Cal shares, big fan of 3 and 4. So when we open ourselves to our creativity, we open ourselves to the creator's creativity within us and our lives. And 4, we are ourselves creations, and we in turn are meant to continue creativity by being creative ourselves. Yes.
mhm. Yeah, and number 1 too, the creativity is the natural order of life, like just being, just
Mm-hmm.
living is creativity itself. I feel like takes a
Mm-hmm.
lot of that pressure off, right? That it's not
Mm-hmm.
artificial. It is literally our natural being. What a
Mm-hmm.
great, beautiful reminder.
Yeah. And like with one of the quotes I shared earlier, it's like you don't have to invent the creativity. It's just already within us, like you just shared.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then Morgan shared number 8 and 10. Yes. So I'm glad that a lot of this is resonating with everyone. And I'm sure, again, as we keep rereading them every day, every week, I'm sure there's going to be different ones that pop out at different moments for
Mhm.
us. And so I appreciate that this is kind of a touch point and a check in that we can have along this journey.
And kind of going along with the basic principles, we want to share this quote. We undertake certain spiritual exercises to achieve alignment with the creative energy of the universe. And like one of those spiritual exercises for us can be reading those 10 basic principles,
Mm-hmm.
right? Seeing where the spirit is lifted, seeing where we are resonating the day. So that can be something that if you don't have a spiritual practice, reading these 10 basic principles and taking some time to reflect can be just that.
Mm-hmm. And another quote that we wanted to share in this chapter with the basic principles is the heart of creativity is an experience of the mystical union. The heart of the mystical union is an experience of creativity, right? So it's that ebb and flow. And I love that term, mystical union. Like in, yoga, we use the term union a lot too. And so a lot of spiritual practices, right, is about that union, that oneness with God, creator, spirit, Mama Earth, all of that, sis. Um, and so that mystical union, right, talking about that magic, that creative force is that magic, right? Like when we're like,
Mhm.
how did that thing come to be? It's the
How'd
mystical
you
union.
how'd you know to make that one thing,
Mm-hmm.
as creators? And I think that's the magic of uh being being a creator or being in witness of the creator is
Mm-hmm.
seeing like something is to discover. And so we want to kind of talk a little bit about creative recovery and discovery because that's really what this book is helping us do, because we talked about how the principle number 1, it's creativity is the natural order, so we're born creative beings. And
Mm-hmm.
so this is almost like that excavating, the return, right, the reclamation of our
Mm-hmm.
personal creative practice, our own creative energy, our alignment and connection and union to the creator. So I think that was in this quote here we want to share is to effect a creative recovery, we must undergo a time of mourning. So I'm saying this because in the book she talks about like as we go through this process, we're gonna have those thoughts of like why didn't I do this sooner, or I can't do this. And a lot of times like I resonated with her saying, um we get in our own way and doubt because of these other voices that aren't our own. So I think a lot of times, in order to have a breakthrough, there's a process of letting go, and maybe a process of mourning. So I thought that's really important, because she talks about that a lot. She talks about, we're going to be going through a lot of emotions. It's not just like, oh, it's just like happy times. All of a sudden, I read this book and I'm just amazing. I'm an artist. And she's like, nah, we're about to dive deep. When you write these morning pages and you journal and you find yourself frustrated that you cannot, commit to this or do that, we're going to feel lots of emotions. So we wanted to make sure to talk about that too, so that we're not just focusing on like the light, fluffy part, that we understand that there's the duality of mourning and also celebrating. There's the recovery, right? And then there's the discovery.
Yeah, and in the very, like, first few pages of the book, Julia Cameron, the author herself, talks about that she came to this knowledge and this lessons and this whole book and this pathway to creativity because she had to recover from being essentially an alcoholic. Like, she was drinking, and her use of alcohol was what she felt at the time connected to her creativity, and so she had to distance herself and withdraw from alcohol to be able to see herself as just creative in her own right. And so I thought that was powerful for her to share that too, of like her own testimony of that. It wasn't that one day she just woke up and she was like, creativity, this is amazing, I'm an amazing person. But she was like, oh, like, she literally said she thought she was either going to die from keep drinking as much as she was to create as much as she was. She's creating screenplays, books, all these things, but to keep up with that level of production, right? Capitalism, art, then she had to drink a lot. And so she was like, I'm going to die if I do this. Or so she was like, I have to stop. But she was nervous that, like, if she stops, then she's like, am I never going to create again? But she dove into the unknown, not knowing if she was never going to create again, but to save her health and her life. And this book and this
Mm-hmm.
whole beauty of everything came out of it. So I thought that was powerful for her to share.
Yeah.
And a lot of the people's testimony who have done this
Mm-hmm.
book and completed it, I'm sure the people who shared earlier that they've done the book before and completed it and revisited it, I'm sure have had other, revelations and
Mm-hmm.
discoveries and transformations in their own lives. So that's what I really feel like, that's why she really talks about that
Mm-hmm.
in the beginning of, like, this is about recovering, right? Like, from capitalism, from
Being burnt out.
burnout, from trauma, from the different addictions we all have, right? Social media addiction, sugar, caffeine, whatever it is that we're all internally dealing with, that tapping into our own creative force and our energy is the pathway to the enlightenment that we're all yearning for, right? If you tune into this book club today, you're already on that path, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's like what I say when I teach yoga. If you showed up on your mat today, you're already there. Like, right? Like, every day will be different and we'll learn things along the way.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that you all chose to buy the book, right? Even if it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, however long, like, you're on the path. And this
Yes.
container is just a space for us to encourage each other to keep
Mm-hmm.
going.
Definitely. Me personally, like for my creative recovery, like I mean, the reason why I'm really looking forward to this is because as a creative, as a person who is an artist, that is a working artist, meaning like I work as a choreographer, um, having to produce and having my identity attached to producing, having something like Soultry Sisters where like our collective is linked to like a business, right? Like a lot of my art practices, like dance and um different practices, are linked to a business. And for me, it has gotten me to a depletion point. And in 2023, I was telling Tony, I was like, the things that normally motivate me to create no longer motivate me. I was at this point where
Mhm.
I'm just like, this and something, I'm like yearning for like a rebirth of a connection that is not tied to money. We're in the era
Mhm.
now on social media, it's like any hobby turn into a business. And I'm like, I'm trying to unlearn that, because with having Soultry and having an arts business, it's easy to make everything a business, well, it's also like our economy, right? Like it's the reality is there's so many reasons, but for me, um, I'm looking for that creative recovery, that to discover new hobbies, something unattached to what I already do, because yeah,
Mhm.
so let us know in the chat if you're feeling like you're coming to this to self nourish, to pour back into self. Let us know, because that's where I am, baby. So I had to let it go.
Mhm.
I'm still shedding a lot of unlearning, and so I'm hoping as a community that I can remind myself that I am more than just what I do as an artist. I am a human being, and I can just live in that, and that is enough.
No, I feel that, and I saw a tweet or something on Instagram either today or yesterday. I don't remember the exact quote, but it was like, "We're conditioned in this society now to like, it's like turn your side hustle into a business, but it's really like capitalism is saying, oh, turn your passions and your hobbies into a way that you can sustain yourself and eat. Like you shouldn't have to do
No.
like you should just be able to eat and like live life and have a home and safety and shelter without like pimping
Basic
out your art."
needs. Right. You don't have to we don't need to pimp out our art. And Geneva says everything I enjoy does not need to be monetized. Yes. Yes, it does not. And then Kyle says, for millennials, it was make your passion your career. I did that. For Gen
He's like,
for
yup, that part.
for Gen Z, it's make that into content. They got me too. But
Unlearning, right? We've been programmed and conditioned. So again, that's the part of that mourning is unlearning this programming, right? Like letting that go and being like, what excavating, like Alyssa's saying, like what is underneath all of that? And that's, baby Tony, baby Kyle, baby all of us, those things that brought us joy, tapping back into those things.
Lydia shares, when I started knitting, everyone told me to start selling them. I'm very protective of that craft because I make money off so much of my creative energy. Yes.
Mm.
That's like when people tell me, because I'm a Pilates practitioner and a dancer, you should get yoga certified. I was like, no, yoga is where I get to receive. Like, I love taking Tony's class. I love her yoga classes. I love taking other people's yoga classes. I do not care to be a yoga practitioner because I want to be poured into as well, or receive that
Mhm.
creative flow and union from that practice. I get you, Lydia. Yes.
Definitely. And then Morgan shares, I'm calling in replenishment and the magic of creative expression and performance, navigating living in California and keeping my
Mm.
passion. Yes, right. I feel that. And so it's good to hear from all of y'all too, where you're coming from, like, so we can all, be here for each other through this journey. And then Kenny shares, hey, I be knitting too. Okay, we got some knitters in the house. I'm a crocheter. Just putting that out
Yes.
there.
Yes. And so now we're going to move on to basic tools. So how are we going to recover, right? How are we going
Mhm.
to get to this creative recovery? How are we going to have these creative discoveries? Well, Julia shares two practices that we'll be doing along these 12 weeks. And the first is morning pages.
Yes. So morning pages are things that people really talk about a lot with the book. Whenever I hear the book Artist Way, people are like morning pages,
Morning
morning
pages.
pages. So, what are morning pages? So, page 10, it shares that morning pages are 3 pages of longhand writing, strictly stream of consciousness, right? So, you're not going with the intention of like, oh, I'm writing down these things or I'm trying to create this thing. It's just you wake up, boom, what you thinking about? Oh, I need to go to the store today. Oh, I'm tired. Oh, my back hurts. Oh, why are they calling me? Like whatever it is, write it on down. And you'll be
Yes.
surprised how much you start writing once you start.
Well,
It's hot.
this is coming from a person who has a journal practice, okay? Coming from a person over here whose journal practice is here, there. Actually, my journal practice looks like post-it notes, like random,
Sticky notes,
yeah,
yeah.
sticky notes. So my journal practice is not as neatly bounded in a book, but I love how she shares it could just be on a piece of paper. It can be these
Mhm.
things, but she really wants the 3 pages. And for me, I she also talked about being adverse to morning pages, and that's definitely how I felt at first, but hearing how it's just a brain dump, hearing how it's going to benefit me, And the fact that I'm here with y'all on this accountability group.
And she got the journal, y'all. She got the journal. So there's regular books. A regular book looks like this, and then the journal looks like that. And so she got the journal. So her journal pages, it's like this big. The journal, right?
Do you see my face? If I picked, I would have a journal like this big. Anyways, the whole point is,
The universe gave you that one.
and they talk about morning pages being, transformative, and so I'm looking forward to um, connecting back to a writing and journaling practice with a new perspective, because I feel like before I thought I should journal because my sister does it, or I should journal because my therapist told me so. There's just many reasons
I mean,
why
helpful sources,
these are
reliable, evidence-based sources. Anyway,
I know, but
neither here nor
I
there.
know not everyone's like you, Tony. Not everyone's over there. I'm over here. There's some people team, I don't know about this, and some team like you will find out. So I just wanted to keep it real. So, anyways.
I know. It's just so funny. But okay, so there's some good questions in the chat. So Lydia's asking, so are we talking about a full notebook page or something smaller? So I would say start with what you have, right? Again, we're not supposed to be like buying new things to do this. This should be
Mm-mm.
like using what you have. So if you have, regular, the notebook size paper, go for that. If you have something smaller, my current journal that I have is slightly smaller, but I'm wondering if I want to just get look in my own stash in my desk to find something bigger.
And I
But
think
it's up
because
to you.
she wants long form, but honestly, you can go
Yeah,
from you can do 3 notepads if you're like me,
yeah.
the starter, or you can do 3 pages in a
It
notebook.
also depends on how big you write. So sometimes if you write in, you might want a bigger page because the way you write or the way your hand is set up, find what works for you.
Yeah,
So
she said
she's
there's no
saying,
wrong way. There's no wrong way.
yeah, she said there's no wrong way. So just whatever medium you're doing, do 3 of those. Okay. So that's what we're agreeing for that for our container. And then Kenny is asking, I'm not a morning person at all. Any tips? I don't have tips for that. I would like tips if anyone in the chat would like to share tips on, cracking it right at the morning time. Feel free.
Mhm.
Because my morning is flexible. I usually,
Yeah.
for me, it's just before I start my day. So
Yeah.
whatever that means. But again, if you're whatever your schedule, I would I feel like the first thing before you start like work or commuting to a place could be helpful because it's really just like your first thoughts of the day. So that's her intention with doing it in straight away is because it's literally when your brain wakes up, you dump.
Yes.
Because sometimes if you already like when I journal at night, I know sometimes it's a little bit different than my morning mind. But again, we're trying to be
I
accessible. So
yes.
whenever you can get it in, you fit it in. Right. I
Yes.
think more so the habit training.
Mhm. It's about the consistency, I think. It's about the routineness of it. For me, I'm definitely going to try the morning because I know myself. And for me as a creative, a lot of my ideas come to me, like Tony says, in the morning. And I really want to
Mhm.
capture that part of myself versus when I get into the matote madness of the day. And then I really want to capture these divine downloads. So I think looking at it in that perspective, I'm just going to really have to do a lifestyle change. Like, sleep early, wake up a little earlier. So I think it'll be great for us to check back in next week and see how we did. I think we can kind of brainstorm, try what works for you. We can share it next week. I think that's what we should do because we don't
Mhm.
know until you know.
Yeah. So Geneva shares, I usually do 1 page a day, but 3 pages low key intimidates me. Right? Yeah. So that's fine if we're all coming to it at different places. But again, with this 12-week journey, I think what Julia really wants us to do is just, the habit of doing it. So
Mhm.
even she said, if you wake up and what you write is, I have nothing to say today. But she said to just keep writing until it's 3 pages. So if you keep writing, I have nothing to say, I'm tired, why my boss wants me in person, why is it raining? I'm
Mhm.
tired, why I don't have food in my house, just
Yeah,
whatever.
just different things. Yeah. And then
Yeah.
Lydia shares, peppermint tea at night gives me an incredible morning every time. Coming from someone who is not a morning person. Great tip. Thank you, Lydia. I'm going to try that, but I first have to get some peppermint tea.
Should've left some of mine there because I
Yeah, you should
definitely
have. And then Anna shares, when I started morning notes, it was helpful to do first thing in the morning. I tried to go to bed earlier so my morning notes weren't just grumpy notes. Yes. Mhm. And then Kyle shares, I do think you get a lot out of having any habitual practice. So starting the pages will probably help with a bunch of other habits too. Yes. Like getting up in the
Mhm.
morning and having some type of routine. Mhm.
Yes, and if you've been with us since, like, the pandemic, we've talked about, golden hour before, so that's another, like, routine, um, that's rooted in, like, Ayurvedic practices, so it's like golden hour, you wake up, no screen time, no technology, no nothing, and then you can journal, you can do all these different things in the morning. So during that time, pandemic in 2021, early 2022, I did have more of a habitual practice
Mhm.
of waking up more when the sun rises. I would wake up, do my journaling, do meditation, go for a walk. And that was really helpful. And so I also think to habit stack. So
Mhm.
I like to put my journal, if I'm really good, I put my journal on my nightstand. So like the first thing when I turn over, my journal is like closer to me than my phone.
With
So
a
I'm doing,
pen.
oh, yeah.
Yes.
So I guess I'm doing this because this is what I see. So also try to make your environment support and help you do the things you want. So have your
Mhm.
notebook like out and ready wherever you're going to see it. Have your pen there. Those kind of things can kind of help curb some of this hesitant like resistance. But also,
Yeah.
like you said, if you're journaling about the resistance, that's journaling too. That's the
Yes,
morning
it
pages.
is.
And like
And
I don't know why she
eventually
making
and
me join
eventually
this.
yeah, and eventually it's like a mirror. It'll make us be like, I'm tired of complaining to myself. Have you ever heard like I'm tired of hearing myself? I'm tired of doing the same old thing. So it's I think it's gonna work. And I think too, what we're hearing right now, what we are talking about is that sensor. So she talks about
Hmm.
the logic brain as our sensor, our survival brain, the brain we usually listen to, especially when we are telling ourselves to be sensible. Like, I don't have time for that in the morning. I gotta go to work, or, you know, this or that. So just know that this is coming from a place of maybe fear. Can I actually commit to it? Can I actually do this? A place of, and that's what we're trying to push to the side. Like our goal is to like
Hmm.
dismiss the logic brain and tap into the artist brain, which we'll talk about later. So we just wanted to be like, this is real. Having this logic brain, being sensible. Like, who wants to prioritize? She talks about doing this for 1 or more hours a day. Like, so it's like it's definitely going to probably lead to a lifestyle change. For me, I know having more time to work on this for an hour. So yeah, let's all like lean into that and see what happens.
Yeah, and
Because
also she talks about with the sensor, that's like usually the external coming in. So if you are doing your morning pages and you start to feel that like judgment or that criticism or those negative thoughts, that's that sensor, the logic brain. And we'll talk about this more next week, but because there's some practices in week one that go through reflecting on this, but essentially know that that's not your creative force. That's not your creative energy that we're trying to tap into, right? That's that left brain, that
mhm,
external stuff. So it's okay for that to come up, right? It's not like, oh, like it's just never going to come up. We all have those thoughts and those
mhm,
inner critics and all those things.
mhm.
But she is essentially the morning pages is a process to kind of let that go and shed
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
all of that stuff.
Which
So,
brings us to writing as meditation, right? So, writing as meditation, if you ever have had a meditation practice or attempted a meditation practice, it's definitely sitting in that stillness, being with self, breathing. Has always, it's challenging because you have these thoughts, these intrusive thoughts. But part of meditation is learning to let that pass, letting it go through so you can get to the other side, what she says. So, let us, like, I think to me, learning that this is a writing practice, almost like I had to attach it to I'm supposed like it's the movement that's gonna help me get to the other side. For me, I like to walk in the morning. Like me and Tony, like for Soultry, we've been walking, having a walking practice. For me, it's helpful to do in the morning. So I'm telling myself, remember how hard it was to wake up in the morning and start your day with walking, and now you walk every day in the morning, like, and it's become a lifestyle. I think of it as this is the new thing for me to add slowly into my life. So she talks about relapsing. It might happen, but just to keep going.
Mhm. Definitely.
And the quote we wanted to share with meditation is meditation gives us not only the light of insight, but also the power for expansive change. So know there's something for us at the other side of this.
Mhm. And of course, the second, so these are the basic tools, right? So we talked about morning pages and then all of this as meditation. And then there's the artist dates. So this is what I also hear about when people talk about the book. So essentially, the artist date is a block of time, perhaps 2 hours a week, right? That's her recommended time, but it can be more or less, specifically set aside and committed to nurturing your creative consciousness, your inner artist, right? So that can be going to a museum, an art gallery, but it could also just be going for a walk, right? Being out
Mm-hmm.
in nature. It could be watching a sunset, whatever it is, just commit to it. And every week, just you can do something different. Of course, you don't have to do the same thing, but
Mm-hmm.
to set aside that time so you can be with yourself and have that introspection that's a part of this journey.
Yeah. For me, this part, the artist day, I was like, no problem. I got it. I do this all the
Well,
time. But
we were hanging out the other day and she was like, yeah, I can't wait to go to the artist day. She's like, I'm going to this place. And then someone was like, can I go? She's like, yeah, you can come. And then everyone was like, wait, I thought your artist day is supposed to be solo.
so there, what I'm saying is I don't have a problem going to creative experiences, art-filled experiences. But the challenge will be to do it alone, which I am doing tonight, y'all. Tonight, after this, after we finish our community discussion, I'm going to see The Wiz with me by myself. So
Yeah.
I'll
But
let you
yeah,
know how that
so
goes.
Julia in the book specifically is like, no lovers with you, no other children, get a babysitter, right? Like,
No pets.
don't, yeah, don't be bringing other, like, if someone's like, you walking down the street, you're like, oh, I'm going to this view to watch the sunset. And someone's like, I want to join you. Be like, sorry, I'm doing a solo date, right? Like, to really honor that time for yourself.
Let us know in the chat if this
Mhm.
artist dates is something that you feel like is already part of your daily practice, or you like me thinking you've been doing it and realize it's supposed to be done alone.
Yeah, I feel like I do them a lot, but with this book, again, like with my journaling and with taking myself on solo dates, it's now with this intention. I think the intentionality is where I'm going to see like the growth and the expansion within myself. It's like really be like, oh, I'm going on an artist date to connect with myself, connect with spirit, all these things. I think the intention is going to be powerful for me.
Definitely. And I like how she talks about the artist brain being a
Hmm.
sensory brain. And so the reason why we're going on these artist dates is to refill, replenish ourselves. We talk about this creative recovery and how she talks about how seeing art, experiencing art is a way for us to put these images, put these sensory things back into uh, ourselves. So the sensory brain is talking about sight and sound, smell and taste, touch. These are elements of magic, and magic is the elemental stuff of art. And I
Yeah.
like this because an artist date doesn't mean museum, it doesn't mean show. It can mean cooking. It can mean
Hmm.
listening to your favorite album. It can be going to a garden and smelling some roses. It can be um, going to the beach and putting your hand in the sand. So I love the encouragement of the artist dates being a way to tap into your senses versus like doing something that is labeled. This is an art
Hmm.
museum. This is an art show. Like it doesn't have to be any of that.
Yeah, and also that makes it accessible, right? Because she also says people think, "Oh, artist date. I'm going on a date. I need to date myself, so that means money, right?" And some people that might not be accessible, but that's why she's saying it could be anything. You could just walk outside of your house. You can look at the plants in front of your house, right? Those kind of things count as artist dates, so you actually don't have to spend any money, right?
Mhm.
And so I like that emphasis too. Is like using what you have, doing what is around you, and what's accessible. And so I'm down for that because I'm a person who loves picnics, loves being outside, loves walks, all that kind of stuff. So it's nice that that counts as well.
And to close talking about like these basic tools, this quote says, morning pages, you are sending, notifying yourself and the universe of your dreams, dissatisfactions, hopes. Artist date, you are receiving, opening yourself to insight, inspiration, and guidance. I was like, yes.
Mhm.
When now I'm less defensive. I'm like,
Exactly. So these are things, right, that like as we journey together, we won't be perfect, right? We might relapse. There are going to be times when we're having resistance, but I'm excited for the times that we also get to share, the things that are going right, right? Like sharing tips with folks, doing things that, as each week goes, will build upon these habits and
mhm,
hopefully at the end we'll have, some lifestyle shifts and stuff. But also in the end, if you're like, actually, I never want to journal again, that's fine too. But from people who I've known who read the book, they've usually continue the practice. It might not be every single
mhm,
day, but it does seem like it's something that really does resonate with folks.
mhm. Lydia says, I haven't done a solo date in so long. Looking forward to them. Geneva shares, I love solo dates, one of my favorite self care practices.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Kyle says, I had to quiet my inner censor a whole lot thinking about what counts as an artist
Mm-hmm.
date, but I've decided dedicated time with a single player video game does indeed count. Yes, I love how creative we're getting, right? With
Mm-hmm.
what that looks like for us individually. Morgan says, I need to get back to a weekly practice of artist dates. And then Kyle shares, right, I think it's adding to the bank of mental experiences as long as it's done intentional and with intention and attention. I think that counts. The personal undivided attention is what matters. She talks a lot about that being
Mm-hmm.
like art is about attention and art is about noticing the
Mm-hmm.
details. And that's why,
Mm-hmm.
like Tony and I, we went to see King of Pleasure, an
Mm-hmm.
exhibit featuring Basquiat. And I definitely feel like with we left with different details that spoke to us and we were able to have a conversation about that. So I'm like, yeah, definitely. Um, art and these artist dates are really to help pull focus in different ways and have these discoveries. So I'm excited to hear what everyone did for their artist dates. Y'all already know what mine is for next week because I'm starting tonight.
Yeah. So yeah, if y'all are wondering, so how much time are we supposed to be doing these things, right? So Julia shares, in all, make a time commitment of about 7 to 10 hours a week. So that's about an hour a day and slightly more if you choose. So, right, like with the morning pages, about an hour a day. And then when you do your artist date, then that will add to that.
Mhm.
And an artist date may be about 2 hours of intentional time with self. Um, and for this book club, we're going to be meeting every Wednesday at this time, 4:30 Pacific time, 7:30 Eastern time every week. So you can block that off in your calendar. If you join the book club's app, you'll get reminders every week. And we'll post on social media, of course, but also for us, we're envisioning it that Wednesdays are when we check in about how the previous week went. And so Thursdays are after this session, so either Wednesday night or Thursday, you can read the chapter for the week. So the week one information, look at the guided questions that it has, and you have the week to do it. And then Wednesday, maybe after your morning pages, do a check in of like how your week went. And then Wednesday evening, when we get together, we can discuss as a community. So that's kind of how we're envisioning it, but we're open for others to kind of flow in and out. But that's kind of going to be our cadence, just so y'all know kind of what to expect. So next week, we'll be going over week one, which again has different questions and stuff like that. And she also mentioned that do what sticks out to you. So one, do what you really resonate with. You're like, yeah, these questions, this makes sense. Yeah, I want to write this down. And also do the ones that you feel so resistant to. So if you're like, oh, like I don't want to do that, or what is she talking about, or that's so weird, do those too. So the ones that just really stick out to you, good or bad, then do those. And she said the ones that are neutral, you can kind of let those
Come
be,
back to.
and come back to. So, right, like every single question in each week you might not get to, but just do the ones that stick out. So that's also can kind of help you manage how much you're doing a day. So yeah, that's kind of about the commitment. And I love in the book how we have a contract. Maybe that's my Capricorn energy, but I love a good contract, right? I love a good show me the details. Okay. Let me know what's expected of me. And we can read the contract aloud just so folks know what they're getting into with us. So it says, I, insert name, understand that I am undertaking an intensive guided encounter with my own creativity. I commit myself to the 12-week duration of the course. I, insert name, commit to weekly reading, daily morning pages, a weekly artist date, and the fulfillment of each week's task. I further understand that this course will raise issues and emotions for me to deal with. I commit myself to excellent self care, adequate sleep, diet, exercise, and pampering for the duration of the course. Then you'll sign and date. And I love that. Well, first, when I saw adequate sleep, because y'all, for many years now, I have been journeying towards better sleep practices. And everyone who's close to me know that I struggle with this. And every year I'm like, I'm gonna make a sleep routine. So I was like, I literally have to commit to that. I have to commit to
I did
being
not.
better about my sleep. And I was like, I know it does connect to like my creativity and all that stuff, but
Mhm.
now to really be like, you not committing to this, Tony, is directly like connected to your commitment to this process. I had to be like, so Kenny and others that struggle waking up in the morning, I hope to be better by the end of this
Yes, yes.
journey.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I appreciate the added notions of self-care, but she also said we can add and take away things. We can
Mhm.
make that last part as personal as you like. So I like the encouragement for adequate sleep. I'm definitely gonna keep my walking practice. I definitely want to like cook more because they talked about some of the one of the some different artist brain activities, and one is like cooking, anything that's
Mhm.
repetitive. And so, yeah, like think about some of these self care things that could be things that you do that don't take much thought, but definitely nourish. That's why
Yeah, so it
I
could
also,
be yeah, so it could be
hmm
cooking, it could be like doing your laundry, it could be knitting or crocheting. I see folks in the chat like do those practices. That's
hmm
repetitive. If you sew, um, yeah, anything that's like you kind of do the same thing. Even she said doing the dishes counts as like a
hmm
repetitive practice that helps you get into that meditative state, which then the
hmm
creativity will flow. So again, you don't
yes.
have to overthink your artist dates or the practices that you're doing throughout this. Um, but some quotes we wanted to leave y'all with as we close out. So with the contract, you can leave comments below if you like what your thoughts were on the contract and if you have any additions or edits. But I wanted to share with you all a quote. So Julia shares, "We are creative beings. Our lives become our work of art." And that's what I'm hoping that this journey
Mm.
with our community will be a reminder of, is like creating these vibrant, creative lives that are a reflection of, the creativity that is within us, and that the creativity that we're creating together as well. So I'm excited to be able to connect with you all and hear more about the practices and the dates that you take yourselves on throughout this whole 12 weeks.
Yes. And this next quote is, art is the imagination at play in the field of time. Let yourself play.
Yes. Yes, because we're pleasure centered here, okay?
Yes.
So we
Pleasure
love
centered, play
play.
centered.
Yes. So I love that, and tapping into our senses.
hmm
So we wanted to check in with you all before we all go our separate ways for the week. But how are you feeling as we start the journey of Artist Way? So you can comment below. And then I'm going to add in the chat our book club links again, just so if
hmm
anyone is hopping off, that you know where to join to get all of the updates.
For me, after, having this book for 5 years, I am excited to do this with y'all. And I honestly feel like it was divine timing. It was meant to happen at this time. And I'm like letting go of that thought of the shoulda, coulda, woulda, because that is definitely what Julia wants us to let go of. So I am looking forward to really discovering what things really get my artist brain going. What
Mm-hmm.
new things really excite me?
And Kyle shared he's feeling energized but apprehensive about what these weekly tasks are going to be, right? And that's valid, right? We it is kind of daunting to be like, oh, we're committing to 12 weeks, right? And but we're hoping that this container will keep us inspired and motivated. So even if we are falling off a little bit or not as on certain practices that we want, that knowing that we have this weekly space will help us, keep
Mhm.
committed to ourselves. And personally, this at the last half of last year and going into this year, I really something that's really important to me is like honoring my commitments to myself. So that's why
Mhm.
when I saw like sleep routine part of the commitment, I'm the type of person like my Capricorn energy is like, okay, so we're doing this. so,
Yeah.
so that's how I
Yes.
kind of can be sometimes when we did the
Yeah.
vegan challenge. Like I'm very like,
Mhm,
I'm doing the
mhm.
thing. I'm
She's
doing the
committed,
thing.
yes. I think it's and I like how you brought that commitment to self because for me, my
Mhm,
personality, I'm really good at committing to others. Like there's a reason why Soultry has, in the last 5 years, gotten to where it has because it's connected to someone and I feel accountable. I don't wanna let my sister down. I don't wanna let my community down. So a lot of times, the things I stay committed to are attached to others. So with
mhm,
that said, I'm really interested in what it's like to commit to myself. Obviously, this is an accountability group, but these artist dates, these journal entries will be for me, myself, and I. So that's something that I want to be better at. That's something I know that I need more of in my life is more of me with myself and learning how to listen to like baby AJ, little
mhm.
her, and tapping into that inner child versus like being the out there, being the older one, being conditioned to look after someone else other than myself. So definitely looking forward to that personal discovery.
Mhm. Yeah, Brooke sharing, feeling motivated and excited, also all about a contract to myself, right? Because it's like, okay, if you have a contract, that means like you want to show up in these ways. And then if you're not doing that, then you're breaking the contract, right? Not to be so dramatic, but I feel like it is something to commit to yourself, and that is
Mhm.
important, right?
Mhm. And definitely like the contract fear came up, right? Fear. I don't this is too serious. I don't know commitment, So for me it's made me realize how much fear has come up with this daunting task. So I really want to face my fears.
And I think, yeah, that goes into also Geneva's comment too. So honestly, I'm a little nervous about the commitment, but at the same time, I'm also excited to commit to new creative practices. I feel the universe calling me to be more creative, to have more creative expression and fulfillment. Yes.
Mm.
Um, and I think also with the dauntingness or the fear or the apprehension or the resistance, I think for all of us to just trust in ourselves, right? That like we're not going to be perfect, but to also believe in that again, like I said earlier, we
Mhm.
showed up for the book club, we bought the book for a reason.
Mhm.
And so, to just have faith in our own selves. Like it doesn't have to look perfect, right? She never said we have to be perfect, but we have to commit, right? And that's
Mhm.
fine too. And then Morgan shares definitely divine timing. I've never done this with a group, and today just saw this was happening. I'm looking forward to committing to myself in this process, but in community. Oh, yay! So much
Yes,
hearts
we
to
love
that.
that.
Love that. So yeah, we're so grateful to be a space for you all to feel safe to join this journey with us, right? Like this is also a vulnerable space for us to share where we're at, our journey, and for you all to share and be vulnerable with us too. So we appreciate that. That does not go unnoticed. And yeah, we're starting this year, January, a new month. So yeah, be gentle with yourselves, and yeah, it doesn't have to look a certain way.
Yes, and Marlene shares feeling good coming across this group while having just started. The book felt like alignment helps to have accountability partners. Yes, yes, yes,
Yes,
and yes.
yes, that's what our book club is all about. Like since we started in 2020, the book club has been a place for us to really be with each other in community, while journeying through some different personal development type of topics throughout the years. And I think this one is a very special book as well because it combines creative expression and spirituality, which are things that in the Soul Tree community we
Mhm.
talk about a lot, but we haven't so far had a special container to specifically talk about
Mhm,
those things with our community. And yeah, accountability is so important. That's why we do what we
mhm.
do. We have
Abs
a walking challenge, so we have accountability. We everything we do is
Yes,
accountability.
we have twice a month mindful movement, yoga and Pilates, so all of that stuff. So we look forward to seeing y'all next week. If you're not on the book club app, we can start chatting there too. We can start a chat. That'll be a way for us to kind of talk with each other throughout the week. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you get the alert that we are on live. And yeah, we'll see you next week. Don't
Yes,
forget to
and if
donate.
you love what we do, you can donate and support. Our book club is free for our community, but it does take our energy and effort. So we are more than welcome to receive the abundance of you all, or if you know people who are feeling abundant and want to share, you can go to our Venmo and our PayPal at Soultry Sisters. If you go to our website, our support page, or go to the link in our bio on social media, you can know where to go to let the dollars flow. So
Okay,
we're
she's a lyricist. She's a poet.
I'm just
She's
gonna
a
start a little jingle. I'm
okay.
gonna start a little jingle,
Okay, we
y'all.
gotta
Okay.
get off of this. I gotta go. Ease on down the five. I to the wind. So we can just wrap this
Alright.
up real quick.
Bye, y'all. So next week
Bye.
we're talking about week 1. So happy week.
All right, bye.